Welcome to the Flicks, Picks, and the Nitpicks, and I am your host, No718, man, and we are going to get into WandaVision. I have yet to see it. I've been seeing on my feed, everybody's losing their shit over it. I thought it was a creative idea. I'm familiar with the storyline they're pulling from. Niggas is already fucking up the vibe for me because they're already dropping spoilers and shit like that. So I'm already seeing glimpses of Mrs. Marvel. I'm seeing glimpses of Quicksilver. I'm hearing that they're trying to reboot the X-Men in it. It seems like it would make sense for Kevin Feige to want to pull from other pre-existing properties, just like DC is doing. Everybody's going into the multiverse, so it would be smarter to use the multiverse of franchises that you have now back in your stable on the Marvel, and you can pick and choose and chuck away and change up the storylines just to fix everything up, and actually even possibly create sub-stories coming out of each of these universes, if not a brand new storyline in which everything can exist at a brand new start and slate, all from the mind and genius of Marvel, the actual studios. So I'm just excited to see what WandaVision has to offer. Without further ado, we're going to check out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come and do the first episode, and then we'll do a midway review, and then we do a final review on the other half, and then we just close it out. But that being said, man, see you on the other side. Well, we are back from the very first episode of WandaVision. Me watching for the first time, and I'm gonna just get right into it, man. For the first, I didn't realize it was 25 minutes. I didn't realize that they were gonna do it in sitcom level. So this is my first impressions of the series. So let's just get right into it. First off, it just starts off black and white in a series, and this is just kind of like a sitcomish version of Wanda and Vision and their interrelationship. But it looks like within this way of telling the story, we're gonna figure out exactly why it's like in the 60s or actually, like, what is that, more 30s, 40s sitcomish era, kind of like basically the likes of which of Bewitched and I Love Lucy. And it's somewhere within this story we're going to figure out why it's like that. But it starts off like a sitcom with their interrelationship, just like everyone else, where they introduced the quirky neighbor Agnes, which is, I believe, was the name of the neighbor back in the Bewitched series, and she's very much like a character like Bewitched. Vision is Wanda's husband, and he shifts into his human alternate form, but when he comes home and he's more comfortable, he is who he is. So it's that same dual identity, but they don't even know what their relationship is, because their day pretty much starts off within this series, and you see them trying to figure out why today is special. She treats it as an anniversary, but when he realizes that he goes to work, he realizes, oh, today was the day that I was supposed to have. He knew it was supposed to be a special day, telling his dude at work, I don't know what day I'm forgetting on with my wife, but today's a special day. And it turns out that it was the day that his boss was supposed to come over and have dinner, and basically just before he was getting a promotion. So it was just basically a good look to have with your boss. So the whole basic show is that when he comes home, to thinking that he knows what today his wife was talking about, was she's thinking that it's an anniversary, or to some effect where they can actually get like spend the quality time together. And he comes in with his boss, and the shenanigans begin, because now they have to fake a dinner. She has to call her, Wanda has to call her neighbor Agnes up to come help her so she could prepare dinner, while basically Vision has to entertain his boss and his wife until they figure out how to whip up a dinner together and entertain them as a guest. And by the end of the series, he does, and he gets a promotion. And they sit down and realize, and for the life of them, can't figure out why they're together, when's their anniversary, when did they get married. So they create a ring right there in the moment and say, you know what, today will be our anniversary. And we're off to the races. But the way it ends is when it ends and they close scene and you see the credits rolling, you see it being basically, in a nutshell, someone watching the series and going through the motions of it. Basically watching the series and that they're watching, and it leaves in a weird way at the very end that someone's watching the series. As the series ends, you see it pull back and you see the TV screen of someone else watching it, and it ends. Cutscene. Yo, you already know what time it is. It's time for the picks. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the segment where we get to pick out the standouts and then things that just the best foot forward of the series. And we pick it out and we discuss each and every big pick in this episode. And our first big pick is the fact that WandaVision was able to stick to a 22-minute old school 50s sitcom format. And what I mean by that is, if you really pay attention to it, this just reeks of so much nostalgia from the honeymoon. Not so much the honeymooners, but Bewitched, definitely. I Love Lucy. And even in the beginning, if you pay attention, you see a lot of shades of Dick Van Dyke. Though I never grew up on Dick Van Dyke, I did grow up on I Love Lucy, Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, which this series actually took so much from. It was actually impressive. You know, even just like how they shot it, beat by beat by beat, you start to notice it feels like you're actually watching it. Even how they acted it out and played it from scene to scene. Even the story format was just so reminiscent of old school 50s sitcom. Like I said, I mean, it's just so much you can see of I Love Lucy all throughout this, down to the neighbor. Even though the neighbor was more like the bewitched neighbor, the nosy neighbor from next door, who always her husband's name was Abner. You saw Abner, but she's always screaming his name, and she's always just there all the time. Like, look, man, the way that they stuck to it and nailed the landing, even just the plot storyline of him and his wife Vision and Wanda having this miscommunication on the significance of this date, and him going to work not really even sure what it is, and then realizes he invited his boss over, and when he brings the boss over and his wife shows up thinking that it's like their day for each other, and there goes the comedy, and now she has to figure out how to whip up a dinner. This is just all out of I Love Lucy. And then she calls up the neighbor. Neighbor comes over, helps her out with the dinner, and then Bewitched starts to kick in when she's starting to use the magic tricks to make things happen. And every time she's just about to get caught, something happens. I mean, like I said, this was just like beat for beat, just well done and well executed to make you feel like you was actually watching a series from that time without being a mockery of and playing into it, while us knowing that Vision is not alive. So there's a bigger drama waiting to come, and they still were able to keep to the 22 format before they got into that. And that was just real key. It held your attention all the way through. Kudos to the writing on that one. Next pick is the supporting cast. I mean, we gotta really point out the ensemble cast in this series. First off, we have Catherine Hahn as the nosy neighbor. Then we have Deborah Jo Rupp from That 70s Show as Saren Davis, and Fred Mullane as Mr. Hart, which is kind of basically how you say, Mr. Spacely Sprockets. This is Vision's boss, and how these guys somehow can fit seamlessly around Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany's playing off of each other in such a manner that is so much of the times that they're exhibiting. I mean, if you really just take note, these characters are just can play such a wide range. I mean, we're gonna have to take our time with each character and give them some spotlights. I mean, all you have to do is take a big look at Catherine Hahn's the nosy neighbor and give her a moment, because this woman is excellent. She plays off of Elizabeth Olsen's humor, but still somehow, some way, is not exactly over the top to the point where she's making a mockery of herself, but so much in that format that she maintains a certain dreamy style with it. Very stylistic, very almost like how, if you watch Grease, how all of those actors played up those characters. Semi over the top, semi sarcastic, but always with a charm and a cadence that makes you buy into who they are. I mean, she is just phenomenal, and she is well casted to play opposite Elizabeth Olsen. Expressions, like I said, mannerisms. I mean, and how she could just make it all work, even down to her smile. It is just so animated and just so spot on. You almost forget that you're watching something that's of this time, even though you still have moments where, like I said, it has a certain dream sequence to it. Then, I mean, we got to start looking at That 70s Show. Her name is Deborah Jo Rupp. She's playing Saren Davis, basically Mr. Hart's wife, if I'm not mistaken. And again, I've always liked her voice. It's just great to see her. It's such a charm to see her coming right back into this kind of storytelling. Because even That 70s Show, even though it was made in the 2000s, it still was trying to give you the residents of that time, and she just works for her. She carries a certain innocence about her that just works. Is very vintage, very classic, very, like I said, I mean, she's such a charm to see perform, and she just makes every scene just work when she just gets on screen. And like I said, it just, if you watch That 70s Show, like I said, it'll just make you smile, because as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh shoot, she's in this. Well done. Well done. Now we just need a moment with Mr. Hart. Mr. Hart just plays this just like you would think out of back in the daytime. I'm talking very close to Spacely Sprockets, that type of vibe. He is just spot on as Mr. Hart, the boss. You know what I mean? You like I said, very Spacely Sprockets. That's just the best I could get with it. Slightly over the top, but like I said, it's just so fitting how he plays these characters. It's like I said, they were well selected. Next up, we just gotta talk about the main antagonist, and that is our leads. You can't just talk about the supporting cast without the main cast, and that would be Wanda and Vision. And let's just start right off with Paul Bettany's Vision. Paul Bettany's Vision was just exactly what he needed to be for this series to work, because the last time we seen Vision, he got that gemstone pulled out of his head by the woman that he loved, and even though they had to do it and it was a sacrifice, he just wakes up here, and it seems that he has no recollection of how he got here, and neither does it seem that she does. But we know that Wanda left off being alive. So to see Paul Bettany play this naive guy, but very 1950s husband, very Dan to Stan Stevens to Samantha Stevens from Bewitched, this guy that got this Dick Van Dyke kind of charm about him, this kind of Desi Arnaz a little bit too is there, but definitely playing this, I don't want to say fish out of water, but this naivete that just seems to work. And it work, and it's also even charming a little bit as he tries to figure out what's going on, but at the same time have shades of doubt, and still be so ingratiated in this 1950s husband that's the straight man to Elizabeth Olsen's, like, Samantha Stevens, if you will. It just works. It's a charm to see. He carries this naivete with that shades of something more very, very well, and it helps because he has an excellent co-host to work off of, because she seems to be basically kind of the focal point, if you will, for no other reason other than the fact that she basically holds all the cards from the last we've seen. She's the only one that is alive, so she would have more understanding of what the hell is going on than he would, and she seems to not even have an idea, and she plays it very well, from her cadence to how she carries and commands the screen when she steps on. It just works. But her back and forth with Paul Bettany's Vision, it just seems to finally give what these characters always needed: a lot more time together so you could buy into their relationship. So, not to say that you didn't from before, but it was at the focal point. We kind of had it peppered throughout the series, but here, this is where they get to shine, while also giving this stylized version, this almost surreal version of 1950s situational sitcoms, and still somehow display why they work together as a couple, and as an on-screen presence. You cannot deny the chemistry. They just work in tandem very, very well. And again, Elizabeth Olsen is such a charm to see on screen every single time, from her facial expressions to her cadence on screen, how she kind of like commands the set as she moves around from cast member to cast member, how she engages each and every conversation with the exact type of cadence you would get from those type of sitcoms from back in those days. This is very theater and play type of style acting, and they are just like looking like they're just having a ball and a blast. And this is totally where Elizabeth Olsen can actually like express her range and stretch her range as an actress within this genre style of filmmaking. I mean, you could easily see something like this in Tim Burton films. But again, like I said, they just work so well on screen. And again, Elizabeth Olsen just commands every shot. Just look at her go. I mean, she is channeling Elizabeth Montgomery's, Samantha Stevens, like so many different times throughout this series and throughout these shots. And again, here goes Desilu performances, shades of it right here. I mean, we could just so easily buy into their relationship, their banter, and their chemistry is just phenomenal to see displayed on screen within this type of setting, because this is where they could just go balls to the wall and have fun and stretch their acting prowess to its finest limits within the confines of this type of storytelling, which you just don't get enough of nowadays anyway, all while still carrying shades of what's really the dramatics of how we even got here, because we still need to figure out where we are, and that's very much in line with something from Outer Black and White, Outer Limits, and Twilight Zone, I should say, Twilight Zone. But again, still giving you that vibe. And like I said, they just chew up scenery every time, and they just command it. And you just gotta just give nothing but kudos and shout outs to what they were able to bring to these characters on screen. And again, Elizabeth Olsen, she just is commanding it, and it looked like she's just having a ball, and so does their castmates. And it's just like you just can't get enough of what they do every time they get on screen, and it just makes you really interested to see what they will do moving on, should they ever get out of this time zone or time lapse that they're in. It's gonna be a stark contrast between the two, and I'm just here to see what happens next. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as you've all been waiting for, the infamous Nitpicks. And to be honest with you, watching a first episode, you should seldom need a lot of nitpicks. And I'll be honest with you, I really don't have anything to nitpick about. I think everything kind of went par for the course. This was a show that was allowing themselves to present themselves to you. And this is what we're shown. And since we already engaged from the MCU now, we have a lot more patience in allowing the director and the writers to show us what we didn't even show us, what they're trying, the story that they're trying to present to us. And for a first episode, I don't think that there should be much to nitpick about, but I'll be honest with you, for what they were trying to show us, I don't think there's anything to nitpick about. This was a very engaging first episode. And again, this is directed by Matt Shakman. I'm not familiar with any of his work. And it's got a 92 on Rotten Tomatoes, and it seems to be the thing that everyone is talking about. And I'm not gonna lie, I think this is something I'm going to continue talking about. So the next time you see us come back again with another review, you will actually be seeing us going about the midway point, and then we'll do a closing one. So this should be 3 series review for WandaVision, and I think I'm going to probably blow through this whole thing all in one night, because I know the last episode is tomorrow, so maybe I can get these out for you by Friday. At least the first, the second half, I'll get out for you. And I should be up to par to actually record the last part of WandaVision. And so far, I like what I see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you liking the style and the way they went about telling the series? Are you enjoying what you've seen so far? Are you enjoying the acting? Because I'm really getting a kick out of this. And like I said, this is what, as a little boy, I used to watch a lot of these old black and white series. So this, to me, this is just right up my alley. And I'm loving every little bit of it. But again, let's get in the comments below and let's start vibing about it. And as always, Like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, till I have a better outro, chill.